Nothing Personal starts in 30 seconds. It's just business. This is Nothing Personal.
Here you go.
Deflated. That's the Nothing Personal word of the day. It's Thursday, May 22nd, 2025. And I'm not talking about Deflategate. I'm not talking about the Tush Push. We're going to try to get to everything. I'm going right to the Knicks game because I was there and I'm deflated. Everybody, there's 19,763. It's a new capacity at the Garden. That was the old capacity. You can check it. That's the number of deflated people. Coke and I just got done spending 35 minutes straight arguing over the word of the day and various other things related to this part of the show, because I wanted to tell you that what happened at that game last night, where the Pacers beat the Knicks in game one of the conference finals, you're going to read everywhere, and it's talk of Tyrese Haliburton giving the choke sign the way Reggie Miller did. I've been at both games. I went to the Reggie Miller choke game in 1994. I went to the Pacers-Knicks game last night. Last night, the Knicks did not choke. The Pacers did something that you don't see. Forget, I'm happy to go through all the numbers with you. You can read them anywhere you want to read them. You can read about the fact that teams were 994-0 when they were up 14 with 2 minutes and 45 seconds to go. You can read that, no problem. You can read that they trailed by 9 points in the final minute of the fourth quarter last night. And teams trailing by 9 points in the final minute, it was actually 50 seconds left to go, are 0-1,414 since 1997, since 1998, the play-by-play era. And the Pacers now have changed that. They're the first team to win a game down by that much. The way they won it is not the way Reggie Miller's team won it in 1994. Let me bring you back to last night. Let me do it in an even funnier way. I'll bring you back to 1994. I'll bring you back to the Eastern Conference Finals. I'll bring you back to Spike Lee, who is not at last night's game. I'll bring you back to Spike Lee, younger, totally different person. Picture me in 1994, 26 years old, at the height of my being a sports fan, at the height of it meaning everything to me. The Knicks and what they did on a particular night changed my mental health. It impacted everything about me. That's how big a Knicks fan I was. Which incidentally is why when I see John Starks last night and I'm able to release the 1994 Game 7 of the NBA Finals where John Starks shot 2 for 18, and I'm able to say to him, thank you. I appreciate you. I had not run into John Starks and talked about it. He came to a Marlins game, Coca. I wasn't able at that point in my life to let go of what happened in 1994. It doesn't go away when you are a fan, and I mean an overzealous, crazy, emotionally charged fan of a team where it just, the joy, the up is there because of the down that is possible. And the down that you feel in 1994 Game 1 is when Reggie Miller is able to score 9 points because the Knicks are fumbling and bumbling. Ode to Walt Clyde Frazier. turning the ball over on an inbounds pass after a basket, for crying out loud. That was 1994. I'm at the game in 1994 and I leave because that's what people do. Fine. Coke and I can argue about this. I'll say it better. 4869. The way I was brought up going to games, which is with great privilege, one of the things was we're not going to get stuck with 5,000 people on the escalators at the Garden or going down the stairs at the Garden to get down and out, where we have to go find a cab to get home. And to do it, you have to sometimes end up walking east to Madison Avenue. It is a strategic game that fans play. When to leave a game. What you do in the playoffs is you go back in 1994 to the concourse, and now in 2025 to the club behind the seats. You watch the end of the game on the monitor. Reggie Miller's 9 points was watched by me and 100 people at a concession stand on the 100 level of the pre-renovated Madison Square Garden. It's true. Last night, the final 2 minutes and 51 seconds were watched by me and 300 people in the club who had all left their seats, and they were just watching to make sure the game was over so they could leave. But then the Pacers start scoring. They start getting closer to the Knicks from being down 14, and no one left. Then somehow the Pacers are down 2 with the ball. Everyone is there. I'm telling you, I'm with hundreds of people. I'm talking, look at me, David, to Jimmy Johnson, former Cowboys and Hurricanes coach and fellow Survivor alum. While the Survivor finale is on live, he and I talking Survivor, watching the end of the game, because somehow the Pacers have the ball with 7 seconds to go down 2. And, might I add, the monitors inside this Delta Club are the internal feed at the Garden. There is a 1 second or quarter of a second delay, and from where I am, I can hear the crowd. So when a free throw is being shot and missed by the Knicks, I'm hearing the before I see the free throw miss. When a 3-point shot is made by Nesmith, I'm hearing the before I see the 3 go swish. So I'm having this out-of-body experience, and Haliuburton has the ball. He basically loses the ball. I'm getting ready to walk out of the stadium because I can't believe what I'd watched, but the Knicks were going to hold on and win. Haliuburton does a step-back 3, and remember, we're watching on a monitor. It goes, hits the rim, bounces above the backboard, and I am saying to everyone around me, let's go, Knicks win. I get to another monitor right near the escalator to get out, and the ball, I guess, has gone through the basket, but I didn't see it because I left, truly left, while the ball had clanked off the rim. But I didn't hear cheering. I heard a gasp. And that's how I discovered that Haliuburton's shot had gone through to tie the game, except everyone thought it was to lose the game. And then there was a replay that his foot was on the line. It can't be. It can't be that Haliuburton did a step-back 3 and his foot was on the line, and instead of winning the game and giving the choke sign, which he did, he tied the game. At which point, I scurry back to my seat to watch overtime back in my seat. The reason why I am not willing to agree with Coca is that full credibility at both games, experienced both games almost identically, not live, if you can believe that. what I saw the Pacers do with Aaron Nesmith, who went 6 for 7 shooting threes in the fourth quarter, I've never seen anything like it. Outscoring a team 20-6 in the final 240. It's just crushing. Crushing. So now, overtime happens. I want to talk about why my word is deflated today. Overtime happens, back and forth. An amazing overtime, tied at 125. A minute goes by in overtime, no one scores. Then they trade baskets, up one, down one, up one, down one. The fans' emotions are going up and down like a roller coaster, where people are still in disbelief from the Haliuburton shot from the fourth quarter comeback. Now they're experiencing something in a completely out-of-body way. And it doesn't matter where you're sitting, whether you're in the blue seats or the red seats, whether you are courtside or not. There is this camaraderie that happens where you are experiencing something that you say, is this happening? Because you don't believe it's happening without asking a stranger. And if you've been to a ball game, you know exactly what I mean. Because strangers who otherwise would never talk to each other in a million years are exchanging high fives and hugs and fist bumps and looks of complete craziness. Coco, in the club with hundreds of people watching, the silence in the club and the looking at each other and saying, there's no way that just happened. Everyone goes back to their seats. The club is empty for overtime. And people inside the Garden, they can't believe what they're watching. Back and forth overtime, and Indiana ends up winning the game. The reason that I am differentiating 1994 and 2025 is the way that I took it. I wouldn't have survived what happened last night in 1994 because the way I was able to survive Reggie Miller's game was by saying to myself that is the most unbelievable choke job of a game that I've ever seen, but the Knicks are going to win the series. The Knicks are the better team. We lost the game. We're going to be fine. Last night was something wholly different in terms of how I feel about it, which is I don't have that same passion. I don't have that same feeling that my life was over, that my sporting life was over, my fan life was over. How could the Knicks do this to me? I don't have that feeling because this is the Indiana Pacers. For those of you not remembering what's happened in the last month, the Pacers were down 7 to the Milwaukee Bucks with 40 seconds to go and won the game. The Pacers were down 7 to the Cavaliers in the final 46 seconds and won the game. The Pacers were down 9 in the final 51 seconds last night and won the game. This is the Pacers. It's no longer an anomaly to say, wow, that's a choke job by the Knicks. That's just a lucky thing by Reggie Miller being in the right place at the right time on a turnover on the inbounds and stepping back and hitting another three and giving the choke sign to Spike Lee. Haliuburton giving the choke sign to Reggie Miller himself, who was calling the game for TNT when he thought it was a game-winning three and turned out to be a game-tying two. Not as impactful in the annals of choking or the choke sign. The Pacers are the greatest comeback team in the history of the NBA playoffs. Call me anecdotal. I don't care. I'm watching this year's playoffs and saying, if you are playing the Pacers, you don't get out of your seat in the final 2 minutes and 51 seconds. I'm not fully recovered from last night. I couldn't sleep, Coco, when I got back. I actually then watched the Survivor finale, all 3 hours of it, after getting back from the game, and the game lasted forever. Let's talk about something else, please, because the Knicks are in trouble, and I'm angry about it. While I want the Knicks to win a title because I want people to experience what I didn't get to. I won't get to experience it the way I would have. I will not in any way enjoy a Knicks title the way I would have in 94. But I want people to be able to get it. Today's episode is brought to you by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Yesterday it was announced that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, SGA, I'm having a thing. I know that his name is Shai Gilgeous. I just can't say it. I have a hard time with names. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. That's what I said the first time, Coca. Why do you think everyone calls him SGA? I can't be the only one. Let's start the segment over. 4869. Today's episode is brought to you by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Yesterday, before the Knicks game, it was announced that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was named MVP. God damn it! Gilgeous. I can't do it, Coca. All right, fine. All right. I know it's the draft. Okay. DraftKings, sorry. Here I go. 12/24/48/92. Today's episode is brought to you by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Many of you will not be surprised that SGA was named MVP of the NBA last night. 71 votes out of 100 went to SGA. The other 29 first place votes went to Jokic, averaged a triple-double. People are saying it's voter fatigue. I'm saying SGA is still playing. Of course, the votes are done before the playoffs start. But what interests me the most about what SGA was able to accomplish by being MVP is two things. One, the first is that we've known that the international player, quote unquote, has become a huge part of the NBA. Two, we know that next year's All-Star game is going to be international v. domestic. Not announced. Wait to see. Three, we know that the last 7 years, an international player has won MVP. For those of you who don't remember, just think Giannis, think Embiid, think Jokic, and think SGA. You may not know this. SGA, is he O Canada? Coca? It's not really the biggest deal, but it's a note. The most important, interesting part about the NBA and its collective bargaining agreement is this crazy notion that you can make more money on your max deal if you are named to an all-NBA team or you win a postseason award like MVP, where remember, you have to play 65 or more games to be eligible to win that MVP. That's the whole load management. We're going to make our stars play. Remember the whole Ja Morant situation where he didn't get any of the postseason honors because of his suspension. Therefore, his max did not hit the super max. SGA, because he did this year what he did, winning the MVP. Now, it would have applied once he gets named to the All-NBA team, which he will. But let's not quibble. He has the right now, today, well, after this postseason is over, he right now can sign a 4-year, $293 million extension. 4 years, $293. Don't talk to me about Stanton's 13,325 or Judge's 9,360 or Soto's 765.15 and the outrage of baseball contracts. SGA can sign a 4-year, $293 million contract, and keep in mind what his age is. 32 years old at the end of it. It's where baseball players are just beginning. They get signed through 39. But here's the crazy part about the NBA collective bargaining agreement is that he can wait a year. and not sign the extension till after next season. And instead of 4,293, that man is eligible for 5 years, 380. Quick math on that. That's an extra year at $87 million if he just waits one more year to sign the extension. What are the risks? He stinks, gets hurt, a little Achilles tendon tear. Why do you think Jalen Brunson, when he signed his extension in New York, took 4 years, 156, instead of waiting the year to sign 5, 269? Jalen Brunson, who scored 43 points, surrounded by Knicks alums who've had successful playoff runs, but never a title other than Clyde Frazier. And people are calling Jalen Brunson the best Knick ever. Give me a break. Get to the NBA Finals, and then we'll talk about it. Win the NBA Finals, and then we'll really talk about it. But recency bias notwithstanding, Jalen Brunson didn't want to wait the extra year. Now, you can say it's because he didn't want to take up more of the cap. He wanted to surround himself with good players, all of the great, loving things that players do. But Jalen Brunson turned down 5, 269 to take 4, 156. That's a difference of $112.5 million for an extra year. SGA's difference is only in the 80s. What goes into a player's mindset? You can't say that it's betting on yourself the way MLB players would say, I'm not going to sign an extension through arbitration and free agency right now. I'm going to go year by year. I'm going to bet on myself. That's betting on yourself. Not taking a long free agent deal because it doesn't exist and your name is Pete Alonso or Alex Bregman or Blake Snell, or basically because you have Scott Boras as your agent. That's not betting on yourself. That's because there's nothing out there for you in the market that you expected. Jalen Brunson had the 5-year offer, slam dunk. SGA will have the 5-year offer, slam dunk. What it's called when you sign for the 4 years, the way Brunson did, the way I would expect SGA may, is that it's called insurance. Given the age of the player and what you're locking yourself up to, you take the money, whether your team uses it to make itself better and run it back, sign different players, tweak it if you don't win the finals. Can you imagine changing, side note, Coca, can you imagine changing the way you run your team and the way you evaluate your players because of a failure in the playoffs that would be caused by what happened last night? All of a sudden, you think that Jim Dolan looks at his Knick brass and says, my God, they don't know what they're doing. No, it doesn't work that way. When you have an outcome like last night that is so random and so ridiculous that it's never happened, in 1,414 games, it's never happened. You're not like, oh, my head of scouting stinks. I need to make a coaching change. Believe me, that is not it. Congratulations, SGA. Coca, can you play music, please?
You know what I want? I want to talk to Samson.
So you want to talk to Samson. Get into my X. Carefully at David P. Samson. DavidSamsonPodcast.com. I want to be clear that I am compiling questions. And I've got so many great ones. I have an entire document. I can't tell you its title yet because that would be putting the cart before the horse. But what I can tell you is I love when you want to talk to me because I love answering your questions. So you want to talk to Samson. It's from a movie called Half Baked for the new listeners out there. And as we are getting toward the end of May, if it's anything like April, we have a whole lot of new listeners. Thank you. Welcome to Nothing Personal. This is what we do every day fight with Coca because he can't stand anything that I talk about. We're like an old married couple, and we've only been together 5 years, and we're not stopping now. We've only just begun to love. David, hello. Hope you enjoyed the game. Is MLB celebrating a deal with NBC, or is it just an effort to replace ESPN? Do owners have to vote to approve this? And bonus point, you were wrong about the Tush Push. Now, that's my kind of so you want to talk to Samson. It's about 4 different questions and 3 lines of text. I appreciate that you pointed out to me that I have a wait to see where I have full accountability. Sorry to all the other shows out there where there's no accountability. They give idiotic takes, which I do too, I guess, but everybody doesn't talk about it when they're wrong. I talk about it when I'm wrong. No problem. I thought the Tush Push would be banned. It wasn't. Hopefully we'll get to that today. It's a good bonus point, though. What this question refers to is an awareness that I was at the game. So you're following me on social media at David P. Samson, wherever you have social media. Thank you. Yes, I did take a picture with John Starks. What was announced yesterday is that MLB, and it was rumored, and I don't have my source because I forgot to think to myself where this came out because this was not officially announced. It may have been the Wall Street Journal. If I sourced that wrong, I apologize. But I think I got it right. Get to it, Samson. Guess what? The NBA on NBC is not the only thing NBC is doing. Round Ball Rock, John Tesh, not the only thing NBC is doing. They're looking to get some baseball, just like they used to. Hello, Bob Costas. Welcome home. Is it possible that NBC has made an offer, Comcast, NBC Universal, to take over that package from ESPN that all of you thought, oh, baseball's going to end up with ESPN, that Bob Iger and the rest of Disney were groveling back to baseball? Are you sure I can't get highlights at least? Or can't we renegotiate our current deal for Sunday night games and the home run derby and some wild card round games, please? And Major League Baseball said, no, thanks. You're a shrinking platform. And by the way, you treated us like crap. We're moving on. Anyone out there ready to love me? Please. Anyone out there? NBC? Hell yeah. That is a match made in lovey-dovey heaven. Why? Peacock is looking for stuff always. Guess what they want to compete with? Guess what Comcast views as they dip into sports, not with a toe, but with an anvil across their shin, along with the other companies who are doing it as well, even Warner Brothers Discovery, just with a different valuation of NBA. So they moved on from NBA to other sports. We told you about all the upfronts where sports was like the focus of advertiser heaven with the slates of all these channels and streamers. Of course, NBC wants to double down on live sports. Did you think for 1 minute that Major League Baseball didn't know what they were doing when they were more than happy to have ESPN opt out and for them to want to opt out of that broadcast deal? Did you think for a second that Noah Garden, the deputy commissioner, didn't have a plan? I'm just wondering. For those of you who are wondering whether I'm right, I promise you, it's not about sourcing it. It's not about rumors, innuendo. It's about fact. It's about, sorry, I was actually in the game. And I don't want to be that douchey guy, but I'm tired of people who have never been around, who have never been in one meeting, who don't know anything about anything, telling all of you, the audience, and you believing it. When you hear from Jeff Passan, you're thinking that it's accurate. It's just not. I don't know how to explain it any better to you. The reason why MLB is able to get a deal like this from NBC, the reason why they want to take over this regular season package They're looking for content at a time of year when the streamers don't have content. And don't at me with WNBA games. Now you're going to read a bunch of stuff that is going to come out. I promise you it's going to be led by Disney. You're going to hear the following. Oh, that deal that NBC and MLB are doing, it's not official. But when the owners do vote on it, which they have to, when it becomes official, I'll tell you right now, it's going to be less money. It's not $550 million. And I'm going to tell you right now, you're wrong. When you add up the NBC deal and all the other rights that were contained in the ESPN deal that are parsed out and sold to different buyers, Major League Baseball will be in a better place than they were with ESPN. And that's just talking dollars. In terms of promotion and reach, it's not even close how much better off they'll be. And I'm not carrying the water. Why? When I see an owner of an MLB team, Steve Cohen last night, Bill DeWitt at a college graduation, and I know very well that they're all saying the same thing about nothing personal. Can't you be nicer to MLB and the commissioner and the owners? And yet there's a narrative that I'm somehow carrying the water for owners or a commissioner and always anti-player. It's always funny to me because everyone I run into says, hey, can you be nicer to my team or nicer to me? When I tell you that Major League Baseball has done a deal that makes way more financial sense and brand marketing, growth marketing sense, and that NBC is a better partner than ESPN every day of the week and twice on Sunday, it's not because I'm speculating. It's because I know. When it gets announced, you just wait. And I'm going to give you the wait to see. Official. When I tell you something's going to happen, if it does, great. If it doesn't, fine. It's not just a rumor. NBC and MLB are going to have a deal. Wait to see. Right, we come back. We're going to get to talk about the owners' meetings. We're finally going to get to use the words tush and push again as it relates to what happened with the vote. But we get to review one of the top 100 movies on DavidSamsonPodcast.com. All of that after the break. Welcome back to Nothing Personal. I'm invigorated today. I was deflated last night. Now I'm invigorated today. We can't review Survivor because it's Thursday. And we review one of our top 100 movies that you can find on DavidSamsonPodcast.com. If you're watching this now on Nothing Personal with David Samson YouTube channel, thank you for subscribing. But more importantly, thank you for watching and telling your friends about it. If you're listening, appreciate that too. We're reviewing a movie directed by Emilio Estevez that is only number 77 on my current list of top 100, and there is no excuse why it's that low. And there is no excuse why it's taken me this long to redo my rankings. There is no excuse to me calling what they did in that movie El Camino when it's not. Camino de Santiago. A spiritual walk. Martin Sheen was directed by his son in what must have been emotional. And I got to watch this movie again and feel all the feels that I love to feel, that I told you I would feel when I knew I was reviewing it today, because it was announced on last Thursday's show. This is a movie about a father who is trying as hard as he possibly can to figure out how life can do the things that life does, and whether or not there's any way to find a connection with any possible stranger who can allow him a moment of peace. It's so good. Please watch The Way. Next Thursday, I'm going to review a movie. Hit it, Coca, the random number generator. Bugsy. Boom. I just watched that, actually. Literally, I just watched that like 3 weeks ago. We'll review that next Thursday. Rest in peace, Jim Irsay. That news came across while I was sitting watching the game that Jim Irsay had passed away. That's when a bunch of us all in the area found out about it. Jim Irsay was only 65 years old. For people who have been with us for a couple of years, you remember the last collective bargaining agreement with the NFL. Jim Irsay was like a spokesman for Roger Goodell. Jim Irsay has quite a history, including a World Series ring, including a Super Bowl ring. He's got quite a history coming from GM all the way up to owner, which does not happen often at all. Jim Irsay died young, so young. Not that it was a surprise death, though everything's a surprise at the very end when you get the notification, because you're like, oh my God. And then you look back and say, wait a minute. He wasn't at the draft. He wasn't around very much. There's something likely wrong. We don't exactly know what it is, but his health has been under scrutiny for a year and a half. You remember when he was found unresponsive back in December of 23? But yet, right at the end, when you get that text alert, you have that feeling like, oh my God, how can that be? Jim Irsay, dead at 65. Colts fans, I assume you love him because great in the community. Obviously, you have a Super Bowl ring. What are you complaining about? Some of the eccentricities? Maybe. But don't do that. Don't be that person. Let's talk about a rule that the NFL had this year that has now changed, which is really funny. So the NFL is not all that different than Major League Baseball. They have a competition committee. Competition committee meets and they go through rules. They think about changes to the game, what they want to do to improve the on-field product. I had not remembered that last season in the NFL, you could only do an onside kick in the fourth quarter. I remembered you had to declare it. And I remember that because of the rules, no one ever recovers it. And it's preposterous to think that, oh, all we need is 2 onside kicks, 3 touchdowns, and we can win this game. It's what fans do in the fourth quarter. Well, the NFL got together and changed the rule. You're now allowed to do an onside kick anytime you want, as long as you tell the other side. That's the type of rule that changes unanimously. No one cares. It should have been that way to begin with. 32-0, the owners said, fine, we'll change that. Now, let's talk about something where we don't have unanimity. Let's talk about the Tush Push, because so many things have come out about that since the owners' meeting yesterday. First, it was released. The Tush Push ban fails. You need 24 votes to do anything in the NFL. Didn't happen. Word comes out that it was 22-10. Last owners' meeting, it was 16-16. There's been progress. 6 teams saw the light that the Tush Push ban should happen. But then things started leaking out from the NFL owners' meetings. And it came to our attention that Jeffrey Lurie, not the former owner of the Expos and Marlins, that's Jeffrey Luria. Jeffrey Lurie is the owner of the Philadelphia Eagles. Apparently, Jeffrey Lurie gave an impassioned speech to his fellow owners. I've been a part of a couple of those. I gave an impassioned speech about contraction. Will not be contracted. Yeah, that went well. Weren't contracted. The impassioned speeches at owners' meetings are often flagged in advance. You tell the commissioner, I'd like to say a few words. Other times it comes as a surprise when it's open to general discussion on a rule change and all of a sudden an owner or president or a GM stands up and starts talking and the commissioner's looking around saying, how do we get this guy to shut up? But you can't. So Jeffrey Lurie does like a Cory Booker filibuster and talks reportedly for like an hour about the Tush Push and all of the merits of the Tush Push, the importance of it, and how players aren't getting hurt, yada, 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 yada. Do you know how many teams change their vote on an issue because of a statement that's read into the record? I want you to think about this. The Supreme Court of the United States, any court, actually, when you do oral arguments, and I've done oral arguments in front of an appellate court before, and you think, oh my God, I nailed it. You submit a brief about what you're arguing, and then you give oral arguments, got this. And then you lose, and you're like, wait a minute, I thought I kicked some arse. And then the judges will say, yeah, well, my decision was made. But thank you. When you speak in front of other owners at an owners meeting, do you think that you're actually getting more votes? Roger Goodell may have thought that he had the votes to pass the Tush Push ban, but Roger Goodell is going for an extension during these same owners meetings, and his contract isn't up till 27. You think that Roger Goodell wants the extension more or the Tush Push ban more? I'm just asking. What would be your opinion? My opinion is self-interest, take the extension. Do you think that Roger Goodell was looking around the room while Jeffrey Lurie was talking and going around to the owners who he thought he had for the vote and saying, don't be convinced by this hour? Please stay with me. Stay strong. Let's ban this Tush Push. Do I still have the vote in the extension? Let's keep charging ahead. No, absolutely not. That vote was preordained that the Tush Push ban was not going to pass. And unlike the Detroit Lions, who withdrew their motion to change the rule on playoff reseeding because they didn't have the votes, the teams that wanted the Tush Push ban wanted it to be out there who was in favor, who was not. It's not a coincidence that this went to a vote and failed because it so rarely happens. The majority of votes that we take in owners' meetings pass because otherwise you don't take it to a vote. If the commissioner doesn't have the votes to do what is wanted by the commissioner and the majority of the teams, if they don't have the votes, they don't take the vote. But the Tush Push ban seems to be different because this is the second vote that's been taken and the second vote that hasn't passed. My wait to see on February 25th of 2025 is that there is no end to the Tush Push. That's a yes. But my wait to see on March 20th of 2025 was that the Tush Push proposal put forward and changed by the Packers will happen. That's a no. I got one. I lost one. Nothing personal pick of the day presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. We are running it back from Tuesday night. Panthers plus 110 instead of plus 105. Hell yeah, because they won game one. Now they're bigger underdogs. We're going to take the plus 110 and take the Panthers over the Hurricanes. The Thunder, the way they blew out the Timberwolves in game one, 115-93, close game in the first half. I expect it to stay that close. That's what everybody's saying. Forget about it. The Thunder are just better than the T-Wolves. Thunder minus 7.5 over T-Wolves. Those are your two nothing personal picks of the day presented by DraftKings. We are 62-65 after the reverse moosh did not work out. And mush didn't work out. We had the Pacers plus 4.5 and we won. So we're 62-65. Hold on one second, please, Coca. I got to go get my needle and stick it in my tuchus or in my abdomen because I've got diarrhea and a tummy ache. I want some muscles. I want some back knee. I want performance-enhancing drugs. What the hell are you talking about, David? You must be tired, crazy, delusional, nuts, untethered. You must have the security of a long-term deal. What? What I'm about to tell you is a true story. It wasn't too many years ago that something was put in front of me, and it was a deck. A deck is a proposal. I get a lot of those. I'd like your opinion on this. Would you like to invest in this? Would you not like to invest in this? Would you like to think about this? Would you like to give me my opinion on whether this is good? Here was what was presented to me. We are going to take someone and do a documentary about someone, and we're going to have that person do steroids. And then we're going to follow that person through a cycle of steroids and watch as he performs different levels of athletic achievements. Watch as he gets people to examine his back and body for different things. It was Super Size Me. Instead of McDonald's, it was steroids. The reason why I wasn't interested and the reason why it never happened is because there was no way to actually get insurance for the project, because nobody wanted to be associated with any project where someone would be so stupid. Hi, I've got an idea for a game show. I want 10 people to jump out of a plane without a parachute, and let's see which of them only breaks their legs and sternum and doesn't croak by getting impaled by a tree branch. Oh, we can't get coverage on that? All right, I guess we can't do that game show. Out of the question to have someone do a Super Size Me for steroids. So when I read what yesterday was announced, I did a triple take. Guess what was announced? The enhanced games. This is not an April Fool's joke. It's May 22nd. It's Palindrome Week. The enhanced games are Olympic events done by those who take steroids. I shite you not. This is real. When I read this quote to you by the person who wants to do this, by the person leading this company that wants to infuse unprecedented levels of science, money, and PEDs into Olympic-style sports and athletes, you'll never guess where the first enhanced games are going to be. Vegas, baby. But the quote is this: we are here to move humanity forward. The old rules didn't just hold back athletes. They held back humanity. Steroids, PEDs, weight loss drugs, stomach issue drugs, testosterone. Yep, I have to agree. All the issues we have in our world right now, both domestic and abroad, it is true. I had it wrong, Coca. Every one of those issues is caused by the lack of people taking PEDs. My bad. I can't even believe how stupid I am for not seeing this point. Can you imagine finding, just out of curiosity, athletes who are former Olympic athletes who now have no other way to make a living, so they're going to join the circus? And that is a terrible thing to say about a circus. What do you think the head of the U.S. anti-doping agency said about this? He said the new company is a dangerous clown show that puts profit over principle. Yeah, I would agree. Why do people like Coca, I'm sure, loves this idea? Let everyone take steroids. Who cares? Bonds, Clemens, let them all into the Hall of Fame. Totally normal. Here's the problem. I want to see competition based on what is real. Why is it wrong to have Lance Armstrong blood dope? Because you've got to do it the way that people can't do it. I can't be an Olympic swimmer, an Olympic distance runner. I can't be an Olympic basketball player. I can't be a weightlifter. I can't be a pro golfer. I can't do any of those because I don't have the skill. The level playing field is skill, natural ability, or the way you work so hard to get to the top of your industry. Those people can't be me in the business world. Jeter tried. Why should we let Jeter take steroids that would allow him to run a team better? The form of those steroids, maybe not a needle. Maybe it is a needle. Here's what's going to happen, Coca. The enhanced games are not going to happen. They will not find a broadcast deal. They will not find sponsors. I don't care what company you think produces steroids. They're not going to be able to do the business required. They're not going to be able to get funding because this is so preposterous. They're claiming they've got money ready to go. $500,000 purse for every event, 250 grand if you finish first because you've got the biggest biceps and the biggest needle. Forget it. It's an announcement done trying to capitalize on what? On the possibility of doing business? The way this ends is with shame. The way this ends is looking into the camera and saying, sorry, it's just business. We'll be back tomorrow. Deflated David signing off by saying, this is nothing personal.